All right, Tyler. So the first code you're gonna run in this series of files is gonna be MySQL database setup, okay? And it's the master file, right? Essentially, what's gonna happen is first you have to download MySQL. When you download MySQL, you should see this page once you download all that stuff down. Make sure the username, please make it root. Don't make it anything crazy. Once you have this, then you're good to go. Also, make sure it has the Python connection. Then you should be good. After that, you click this, and then this should open pretty much, essentially, okay? Ignore that right there, yeah. Okay, this should open up for you, okay? Now, first thing you're going to do is you have to create a database. Create database. We'll call it Tyler Trade 2. It's because I made it one earlier just to test everything out. Essentially, click this. Boom. If you see a green, that means it is running, okay? Next, you have to hit use that database you just created. Use Tyler Trade 2, okay? Run it. Cool. Now you're using it, okay? If you don't do that, you can't use the database that you just created. All right. Now, for the Python code. When you go to the code, this line right here is very important. Right here, it should be localhost by default, all right? Second, it should be the username that you chose. That's why I said to keep it as root, so you have less things that you have to remember to change and all that jazz. Password is whatever you call it. And then here, I'm going to call it 2, database 2. Because I tested it earlier, I made it 1, but now we're making it 2, okay? So essentially, this will connect to your database that you created, okay? Now, next is whatever currency that you want to check on or have an alert on, you will type it in here. So let's say you want to do the euro. All you got to do is highlight this, Control C, and Control V it all the way down this line, okay? Wait, I did not do that. Whoa, hello there. Whoa. Wow, my mouse is a bit janky, but it's okay. It takes you like maybe 3 seconds. I don't know. I say 15 seconds. Okay, whatever. Yeah, down the line, and then when you first run the code, this is very, very important. When you first run the code, please run it with these will be on. I just had to disable on mine currently. When you have the code, it'll look exactly like this. Okay. Please read the whole, like all the comments before you run the code. So this is change the username and password. As you can see, that's what it tells you right there. Change username and password, all that jazz. Disable this. All right, so disable this chunk of code and disable this chunk of code, okay, after you run it the first time, all right, because it's creating some base stuff for you, and essentially should be good. So when I run this code, also, before you run the code, go down here to terminal, click on terminal. Make sure whenever you import a file into a text editor, you import it through pip install it. So I do pip install MySQL, and then hit enter. That's it. All right. It should download the module that you need. I'm not going to do that one because it's already pre-installed in Python. But anything that you import here, make sure you also pip install it right here directly. Okay. So pip install MySQL. As you can see, cool beans. After that, click on run, and then the run tab down here. Then right click, hit run. Wait for it to do its thing. And bam, bam, it should be all good to go. So now I'm going to go to show tables on MySQL. And then there, bam, and you got all the tables that you need to run the bot now. See, sample trend line, sample top, sample bottom, all that jazz. And then you have the USD bottom trend line, closing price, open price, timestamp, top trend line. Now you have all these tables that you need to run the code. And remember these names. See, it's USD underscore EUR, all that jazz. Remember these names because you'll need these names later when you run code later on to change stuff as you please, as you need. Okay, so let's say I wanted to do the Japanese versus the USD. So I put JPY. Doesn't really matter. Also, these are called. If you spell it wrong, like wrong's gonna happen. Just know that. Make sure you spell whatever you put here. Use that for the um the, the other files so that it corresponds. Okay, cool. That's it. And remember, this is the second time I'm gonna run this file. So remember what I told you. After you run it the first time, the second time, come here, disable it. You hold Control and press /. I think it's called /. It's the slash next to the Enter key and next to the Shift key. Okay, so I hold Control and I tap that / and this disables the whole line of code. Okay, same thing with this one. Cool. So from here on out, from the second time I use it to forever, when I run this code, you should be good. Unless you change the database, all that kind of stuff, then you might have to rerun that thing. But now when I run it, I don't really need that part anymore. It should run just smooth. Okay. Okay. If not, it's gonna get 1,000 bunch of errors, all that kind of jazz. So yeah. And now I show tables. USD versus Japanese is on there now. Okay. Cool. Now, next thing you should know is for SQL. Sometimes, when you are trying to work on it, the server may not be running for whatever reason. To fix that problem, all you do is you go here on server, you click that, okay? Click start up and shut down, and make sure this is on running, okay? If it's not running, you're gonna hit start server. It says stop right now because it's running, but you hit start server, and then at that point let it run this thing. Say yes to the prompt that'll pop up right here, and then keep on doing that until it's running. Okay. Sometimes if you run it and then it'll say running, but it still won't be working down here, just read these to make sure that it's running. Okay. And you should be good to go on troubleshooting, all that jazz. So that happens when you exit this. Oh, and last thing is if you exit MySQL at any point and you want to come back to it, okay, you have to hit use again. So it's right here. It's instance, yada yada. Password. You know my password. I don't really care. Not a big deal. All right, cool beans. So if I come back to here again and I try to run some query without the thing being used, it says this: no database selected. So you must, every time you exit this, you come back, hit use the database, run that, and then you're good to go for running queries again. And queries just means when you run lines of the code in SQL are called query statements or query commands or just queries, okay? Or just SQL commands, that kind of stuff. So if I say the word query or SQL command throughout the other videos, just know I'm talking about these lines of code, okay? Also, I might say Python SQL command. That'll be something completely different, but you get the idea, okay? So this query can activate only once you activate the use database query. Okay, so that should pretty much essentially be everything for this. All right, if you have any questions, shoot me a message.